right, welcome back to another episode of Nerds Watch.
You didn't ask for it, but we're providing it anyway.
It's back again. Today we are actually going to be talking about a movie that ties in with something, and it's an older film as well. We're going to be talking about the original Predator movie.
We are a rescue team, not assassins. Now, what do we gotta do?
In anticipation for the new The Predator. I keep getting the names confused as to which one's Predator, which one's The Predator.
So there's Predator, Predators, and now The Predator.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of, like, the new, like, not really reboots, but, like, the soft reboots they do, where they just, like, get rid of the numbers, and they're just naming it what the original was.
Yeah.
So, like,
God of War.
The new Halloween is just Halloween. Yeah, or, like, God of War is like that, right? The new one is just The God of War. But yeah, so we watched this time together, not separately. We all watched the movie Predator, which I personally hadn't seen in a while.
I think it's been like almost a year since I've seen it.
I watched it like a month ago.
It's been a couple of years for sure since I saw it. Just for our video viewers, we are watching some clips from the movie, so don't feel like we're ignoring you if we just get enthralled by the intense action that this movie provides.
Oh, these are clips. I was like, this is like...
Of Mac.
This trailer is a lot of scenes that are in sequence.
But, yeah, I mean, I think this time we're just going to avoid talking about the plot just because pretty much everybody should probably know what the plot of Predator is. Commando guys go into a jungle. They have a mission.
They fuck shit up.
They get fucked up. And then they get fucked up by the Predator.
The jungle came to life.
Which I think brings us to, like, kind of the first point. I mentioned this when we were watching the movie. The beginning of the movie opens up with just straight up revealing that there's an alien in it.
Yeah, it shows the ship.
Shows the ship kind of like flying to Earth, and then we get this opening where it's very much like a Vietnam War movie or like Commando or...
If it weren't for that first scene, you wouldn't know there's an alien in the movie until it shows up.
Unless you've seen the trailer.
Unless you've seen the trailers.
Unless you've seen the trailers, which we just watched the trailer.
They're Fox trailers. They're always going to show you everything.
And I think a lot of the times when people think of, like, the Predator, it's so just ubiquitous that, like, people just know what it's about. Mm-hmm. But imagine, like, grabbing somebody who's heard nothing about it, have no idea what the movie's about, their mind would be fucking blown.
You have them out of the room for the first 30 seconds of the film.
Just skip it. Just start the movie at the beginning. The montage scene where they all get off the Jeep or the helicopter. And they're all wearing their 80s.
I don't remember.
That's the only part I feel like that dates this movie is like that.
When the one scene they're in civilian wear.
Yeah, the fashion that they're all wearing. Like the one dude has a denim jacket. The other guy's got like the tracksuit or whatever.
Well, Denim's coming back.
Denim's making a comeback. Get ready. You heard it here first. Hot take. Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like that's one of the strengths of this movie is that it holds up really well because it could be kind of any time when it takes place. I mean, it's kind of skewed towards like the 80s, I guess, or like even before that, but a lot of the other movies are very timely. Like, I feel like AVP has kind of a specific feel for like the 2000s,
the time,
and then the same. They straight up give you a date in Predator 2, which I think is
Honestly, I've seen that movie only once, so I don't remember anything.
It's in the 90s.
Well, the movie is set in 1990, or it came out in 1990 or something like that. But it's set in 1997. No, it's set in 1997, so not even that far. They're just like the future.
They say that one is 10 years after the first one. So they date this movie with that movie.
Oh, do they?
Okay. Yeah, because
so it's officially in the 80s?
They established that like every decade the Predators will go wherever it's the hottest and there's the most action going on.
Yeah, which the future of 1997 Los Angeles is just a gang-filled fucking war zone. It just looks like Fallout, basically. Like there's just gangs running around with guns, from what I can remember.
It's toned down Escape from New York.
Yeah, and I just remember every single person just being like, it's the hottest summer on the planet. It's,
record heat wave.
Yeah, it's 150 degrees. Somehow we're still wearing like zoot suits
and then the next time a predator shows up in the movie, it's in Antarctica.
Which was
AVP.
Supposed to be hot, though.
When they built the pyramids.
Yeah. Which, why don't you just use the pyramids that are still...
Predators didn't get them
hot. I guess they didn't. They just show up and they're just like, what the like...
That movie breaks canon because they're supposed to be cold-blooded.
Well, I don't think it is canon at all.
Well, when it came out, it was. Because it directly tied from the Dark Horse comics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The thing that didn't make it, or doesn't make it canon now, I think, is the
Alien movies.
Is Prometheus. Because the character of Wayland is supposed to be the same character that is...
Except in the comics now, they have stories where predators are fighting engineers.
Do they?
Yeah, so...
Oh, you told me about
So
this.
now it's some weird nebulous canon.
I feel like the comics don't tie in with the movies, though. Like,
They
I feel
did
like...
at one point. Not anymore, though.
Oh, really?
Well, there were stories that did.
Oh.
And then there were several times where those stories would become not canon anymore.
Huh.
Like before...
Well, I mean, just the comics in general were like that. Because I remember them doing, like, the whole engineer thing ahead of time.
Before Alien 3 came out, there were comics where it was Ripley, that one soldier who survived, and Newt, like, get to Earth.
Oh, yeah,
and that
right.
story was considered canon until Alien 3 came out.
Yeah. And then they made those characters into, like, other characters or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I read those. I read the original Alien vs. Predator comic. That one's pretty good. Which I guess there's some similarities to the original movie, but it's not like it's set in the distant future and on like another planet.
Yeah.
Which they obviously didn't have the budget for. But no, yeah, it was pretty good. Like I feel like this movie held up really well. The plot was good. Yeah. The pacing,
cinematography
was solid. Cinematography was really, really good. Which, as we discovered, this is the director who did Die Hard, which is a really well directed movie as well. A lot of action sequences in that. Also, like the Predator costume, especially, like it's
still held up.
It still looks really, really good.
Because it's a real costume.
It's
not CGI.
Oh, if they even attempted that at this time, it would just be terrible. Which I think.
Look at the invisibility.
Yeah, the invisibility isn't the best. When we were watching it on Blu-ray, I thought they like enhanced the invisibility effect. I guess they didn't.
They didn't.
So that's the way it originally looked.
Okay. That's pretty good for back then.
Which is pretty good, yeah, when you consider that. I heard, again, I haven't seen Predator 2 for a long time. I heard in Predator 2 it's actually worse. Like, it got worse, and then it got better.
I haven't watched that one in a long time.
There's a lot of practical scenes in that one, though, where...
Nobody ever watches Predator 2.
I rewatched the original, not the sequel.
Yeah, even when I first watched that movie, I thought it was just kind of, like, jokey after the seriousness of, like, this one.
Los Angeles, 1997. It's the hottest summer on record. Pollution is choking the city. The gangs control the streets.
It has not been a nice day!
As bad as things are, they're about to get worse.
Because this one is basically just shot like a war movie.
Originally, the second one was supposed to revolve around Dutch's character again. And it was supposed to end with him taking over the Otherworld life form task force, which is what Gary Busey was the head of.
Oh.
So it would end with Dutch taking that role.
Oh, okay.
I feel like the first one is mentioned a lot. Like the first one is officially like straight up canon. Because they mention it in Predator 2, obviously, is probably the biggest connection. But they mention it in like, I want to say AVP. They mention it. And then in Predators, they also mention...
Arnold was supposed to cameo in Predators.
Was he really?
But Robert Rodriguez couldn't get him because he was busy being a governor.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Iggy's going to be the Arnold Schwarzenegger facts.
So the cameo in Predators was supposed to be at the end of the movie when Big Nose Guy and girl survive.
Adrian Brody and Michelle Rodriguez.
Yeah, there you go. When they're alive at the end of the movie.
Is that who's in the movie? Is it Michelle Rodriguez?
I don't think it's Michelle Rodriguez.
Is it not?
I think it's somebody else.
I'm looking it up.
I clearly don't know the name, so I just agreed with whatever you said. But it was supposed to end with the two of them alive, and a ship was going to descend, and just a whole fucking squad of predators would come out, and they would just, like, we can't keep fighting, just lay down and accept their death.
Yeah.
Or, like, sit down and accept it. But then the predators would...
specifically lay down.
Organize themselves into two rows, and, like, step apart.
And Dutch comes in?
As clearly, like, a leader one comes out, and it's all decked out and stuff. And it walks up to them and it pulls off its helmet, and it's Dutch, and he goes, "Not too bad, kids."
Why would the one problem with that is like it's not Michelle Rodriguez. The one problem with that is like why would they accept him?
Well,
Like all he did was beat up one like
And that's why.
idiot
I have
predator.
an explanation behind that too. They're in the lore
Because the comic would have tied in and
with the comics. It's established that since Dutch is the first human to kill a predator, he's revered among the predator society because they're very honor bound and like if you kill something, it doesn't make you a monster. It gets you their respect.
He's officially the first human to kill a predator.
He's officially the first human to kill a predator.
Okay.
Right on.
And because of that, he's like a talk of legend among the Yautja, which is what the predators call themselves.
Yeah.
And in the original draft for
he's lifting a car. What?
In the original draft for the second movie, the city hunter was supposed to be like the reason for coming to Earth was to get his own Dutch experience.
Oh, okay.
To meet a worthy hunter, and like this was when he would be going after Dutch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's called Jungle Hunter, and then the other one's City Hunter.
City Hunter, yeah.
Is like their names or whatever.
But then
the movies.
The actual Predator character.
The Predator the first one is the Jungle Hunter. Predator and the second one is the City Hunter.
And then after that, they actually give the Predators like legit names.
Because there's multiple on the screen at once.
But this is basically the movie. We're watching like a video on YouTube of the movie, but it's like there's like blackness.
It says
between...
like all the sightings with the Predator.
Oh, it's all the scenes of the Predator.
Yeah.
Okay. It's basically all the movie you need. But yeah, no, I feel like this movie had really good practical special effects. I mean, it was a lot of fucking explosions in the first action scene. A lot of explosions later on in the movie too, but really good effects. Pretty sure that was an actual real scorpion on him that he stabbed.
Oh yeah.
And then the fact that they filmed in an actual jungle too, like, is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Except I heard they filmed during completely the wrong time to film in a jungle.
It was the hottest.
Well, no, but then they also wanted it like looking like a rainforest, like it had just rained like recently, and like I guess it was during the dry season, so they had to spray down the trees with water in order to make it look like more like
lush.
I guess was the point, because a lot of it was like yellowy and like kind of gross. That's why you see so many like twiggy trees and stuff like that. Plus, like, I guess for most of the movie, stunt actors used like real like live rounds for it to get like the real effect of like blowing up the forest or like shooting the or like
so
around
they
the
actually
forest and
fucked
stuff.
up that section of rainforest.
Yeah, evidently.
Damn.
But the only thing that I don't like is the thermal vision from the Predator in this one.
For a good cause.
Yeah.
Fucking up the rainforest is for a good cause.
Like, I feel like the thermal vision in this is just...
Yeah, we were talking about that. It's pretty bad.
It looks like a hindrance, like, for the Predator. Like, it's more difficult for
That's
him to
what I
see.
was saying, like, he does it just to make the hunt more challenging. But then they show his actual vision.
And it's even worse.
It's the same thing, but only red.
The Predator's actual vision is just all red, and then occasionally there's, like, a line of green.
It looks like that one, like, VR headset from the 80s where everything was fucking red.
They, like... That's the one thing they improve on, I think, is, like... And you could attribute this to, like, the technology of the Predator getting better. But, like, in the later movies, it gets super detailed when he's using, like, the vision or whatever, the thermal vision and, like, the alien vision.
I feel like in this movie they didn't really know how they wanted the Predator to see. Because they knew, like, they wanted to have an alien form of vision, but they couldn't do thermal because the mud trick at the end wouldn't work then.
Yeah, right. Which,
So now they've got this weird shit vision that's ambiguous in its rules.
I guess that was another thing, too. They wanted to, like, always have Arnold wearing, like, prosthetics that looked like he was covered in mud. And then I guess somebody on set was just like, why don't we just spray him with mud? And they're like, oh, yeah.
We're in the fucking jungle. Roll around.
Because I guess, like, it would have been way too hot for him to be, like, in makeup. Like, he would just be sweating it off, basically. So they mixed, like, the mud from the rainforest with, like, clay. Which is why, like, when it dries, it gets all this, like, cracky looking cool, like, thing.
Yeah.
And again, because it was so dry when they were filming it, too. Which makes sense when we were talking about, like, Carl Weathers looking.
Why are they so sweaty?
Well, why did he look like
Why
they
did
had
it
made him
like
look
he had
more sweaty?
Vaseline all over
Yeah,
his face.
so they-
He's probably just actually that sweaty.
Yeah. But yeah, the one.
Dude, his running form is fantastic. He looked like Bare Nipple Claws from Pocahontas.
I think. Oh, really like Red the one issue I have with this movie, which is a very small thing, but like, should a Predator really be having this much difficulty killing these guys? I mean, I guess he doesn't have difficulty for most of them.
Well,
It's
these
just
guys
Dutch.
are supposed to be the baddest dudes in the world.
Still, it's a bunch of humans, and this dude has a laser
Well, he
rifle.
killed every single one of them very easily. The
For-
last one he had trouble with was,
Yeah.
again, Dutch.
Yeah, I guess just him.
The only time they grazed him before straight up killing him was when they
We're just
Randomly
firing
just
randomly in
fired.
the
they
forest.
scorched the jungle. Up until then, they couldn't touch him.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess that scene wasn't there. The
Where's-
dragging.
Oh, but in the trailer, he was straight up invisible. Like it looked
Yeah.
like he was just being dragged by a string.
Yeah.
So they put that special effect in after, which explains something we didn't talk about during the movie that I wanted to talk about, but I wanted to save for the podcast was a majority of the movie was filmed without them knowing what the Predator would actually look like, or if they would even have like a full costume
Yeah.
at all, because the first design they had for a costume did not work out.
What does the
I don't think
uniform
I've
look
seen the
like?
first.
Well, okay, so
design.
there's clips. I'm gonna look it up right now. Actually, look it up. It's probably on YouTube somewhere. But originally they were waiting on a costume and filming a majority of the movie just because of time constraints. And they're like, "Oh, this costume's gonna be really good. Like, we're excited. It's about to be finished."
Oh, what?
And then the costume came in. It just looked like complete shit. Like it looked like the most '80s B movie.
No, I want to search
That's
it up
it.
right
Yeah,
What the fuck?
it looked like more Alien-esque, and it looked like a bug almost.
Dude, I like how they saved the design and used it in District 9.
Yeah, it kind of does look like the District 9, like...
now. Wait, is that it?
Yeah, that's it right there. Yeah, yeah,
What
yeah.
the
That's
fuck?
it. I'll put in a picture, or at least maybe a short clip, if I can find one for the video listeners. Well, okay, that was another thing. Is the costume was completely red, because in order to do the invisibility effect, it couldn't be green, obviously, because the forest is green.
Oh,
So they made it bright red, which I guess you can make any color you want.
yeah, just as long as,
It's all just consistent.
yeah.
But then the eyes weren't keyed out, so it just always had the eyes. Even when it was invisible, you could just see the eyes.
How would you put a man in that? Look at those legs.
Those are the original. Well, those are the original designs for just like what the costume would look like. Like that's a model.
Those are, okay.
That's a small scale because they probably were going to do a model for some of the scenes, where it wasn't close up.
Well,
There's the actual costume.
I am very glad that crashed and burned because
I don't know. It looks like in certain angles it looks kind of badass, but like to see it as like what we know.
versus the actual Predator
I-
costume.
I
Yeah,
much prefer
I'd be
what we
like,
got.
yeah, this, yeah.
Yeah. There's okay. So they were going to have
Jean-Claude.
Jean-Claude Van Damme play the alien.
And Jean-Claude was excited about the role because he thought this would be the movie that put him on the level of like Arnold.
Yeah.
And he got pissed when he realized you would never see his face.
Yeah, he was. Just
And
gonna
I
be
don't
underneath
think
the
he was going to have
costume.
any lines or anything like that
Yeah.
either. At least I don't think that was the case. But this is the scene I've seen where he's pulling him. That's why in the trailer it's just straight up but they just take him out because it was filmed with the original costume. But yeah, so basically the costume wasn't what they wanted, and also with Jean-Claude Van Damme leaving, they had the costume sized for him.
Yeah.
Which he's like 5'7", 5'8". He's a shorter guy.
5'8".
So they didn't want somebody like on stilts for the role,
Right.
and they didn't want something fighting giant Arnold that was like 5'8" or whatever. So what they did was they hired the guy who eventually was in the costume for the Predator. Well, I guess that dude's like 7 foot, like
Giant.
Two
Taller
or
than
something.
Arnold,
which just
assuming.
makes like the Predator so much more
Menacing.
because it's like, okay, he's got all this technology and all these weapons, and then he decloaks. Holy shit, this dude's just jacked as fuck, and he's just a giant
Fucking
alien
monster.
But basically, after the first costume didn't work out, they brought in Stan Winston, who's famous for not only doing another Arnold movie, he did the original Terminator design, and the makeup for the Terminator, but he also designed the original, part of the costume for the alien. Technically, the original design wasn't his, but he developed the part of the costume. Also, in kind of another Arnold connection, James Cameron, I guess, had kind of an influence on the way the Predator looked.
Oh, okay.
Because Stan Winston had the design of the armor and like his body, but then James Cameron, as the story goes, he was on a plane with Stan Winston, and then James Cameron is like, why don't you just give him like the mandibles or whatever, the face thing, because he likes vagina-looking mouths. And so Stan Winston's like, that's a great idea. Plus, it gave more like, you could emote better with the alien. Like, you could tell what his emotions were.
Right.
You know? So I think that was a smart idea. Because even when he takes the mask off, his armored mask, and you see his actual face, like, it still looks, like, good. It doesn't look like a rubber Halloween costume.
Yeah,
like,
it doesn't. It looks pretty good.
with the articulation. And then they, like, put, like, water on it so it looks like it's also sweating or whatever. Yeah, it's just a good-looking costume in general. Oh, yeah, we should probably talk about that. We were going to recut this movie with Willem Dafoe being the voice of the Predator.
Did you find Hawkins? This is an aerial shot of the town from Stranger Things.
There's going to be a recut version at some point. But yeah, I think this film successfully introduces kind of the idea of the Predator in a really good way. In this world of denying or like just ignoring prior movies in order to make better ones, I think this is kind of an exception where like this movie's really, really solid. Probably one if not the most solid out of all the Predator movies. Especially compared to 2, which I think most like canon just denies.
Well, I mean, we barely remember 2, so
Yeah. Well, actually, now that I think about it, I think I read somewhere that like a character in The Predator, the new movie, is supposed to be related to Gary Busey's character.
Oh.
From Predator 2.
Yeah.
So they're actually going to kind of like acknowledge it.
Okay.
The triumphant return of smart discs.
Well, like, it's funny because in this movie, and I mentioned this while we were watching it, they really don't introduce that much of the Predator's weapons that we know him for in this film. Like, all he has is, like, the blades and then the gun.
The gun, yeah.
And that's it. A lot of that comes out of Predator 2, like, a lot of his weapons and, like, skills and shit like that.
Coolest Predator trap weapon thing is from AVP when he just had a noose cloaked and the dude walks his face into it and the Predator just yanks him up. That was the coolest fucking thing.
The cloak. Well, okay, so he cloaks the noose, right?
Yeah.
Then why aren't the claws cloaked?
Because it's scarier that way.
So there's just claws floating around in like a jungle?
A big part of Predator culture is intimidation.
I feel like they just didn't think about that. I feel like they filmed that scene with the original costume.
The one scene where he has his claws and he's using the laser thing to like...
Oh, he's doing Wolverine's new hot claws.
That it didn't make sense.
Yeah, no. We gotta talk about that because I have no idea why he has
what
those.
was the purpose for that?
I don't know. Intimidation, man.
He was nowhere near anyone.
You gotta play it safe.
Jesus Christ. Oh my god.
I'm pretty sure one of the Predator's medkit things is that fancy like cork bottle opener thing that everyone has. like if you rewind it and look at the scene, it like
that thing right there is
not what he's holding. He had like
what he had
the thing
before.
that slides out.
Right, what he had before.
Yeah, or he never pulled it out. It was in there. They keep having it just off camera.
Oh.
Damn it. I'm trying to like rewind.
Maybe we should just watch the Predator 2 kill count to relive Predator 2.
I mean, yeah, we.
But yeah, things like the disc, and then I think he has a straight up gun, like not just the mounted gun, but he has like a spear gun. And then I'm pretty sure there's some other weapons. He has a javelin at
one point.
Yeah, and then they also introduced the fact that they use like weapons from people that they kill.
Yeah.
Because the one Predator has that old school like.
Look, that thing at the
end. I see it right there.
That looks just like.
Oh, it's a wine like uncorker. Yeah, it totally is. We're watching the scene where the Predator heals himself, and he's got just a bag of just random shit in case he wants to open a wine bottle.
He's got all
he's
this
got that
alloy shit, and he has a little kit full of stainless steel.
But I actually really like this scene because it kind of like shows like you learn about the Predator without them explaining it too. Like they don't explain like his technology. It's just like, oh yeah, he can heal himself. Sure.
He has simple medic
abilities. Yeah. I think another thing about this movie is the cast is really good too.
Yeah.
Like Arnold is obviously like Arnold.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, he just devolves into yelling.
So he's always wonderful
Yeah.
throughout the movie.
You got Carl Weathers, who doesn't box the Predator ever, unfortunately.
Epic handshake.
Jesse Ventura's in it, which is the dude with the chain gun.
Sexual Tyrannosaurus.
Yeah, the sexual tyrannosaur. You got the dude who plays Billy, who's just like the most stone cold son of a bitch I've ever seen
I like
on
to
like a
think
movie.
that
Until
if Billy
that
survived
one
his
pussy,
encounter with...
joke was finally made.
Oh yeah.
I like to think if Billy survived his encounter, he'd go back to the States, be checked into a mental ward, and he'd be in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
No, there's something unhinged about him, no doubt.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right. And then the guy who's making the jokes about his girlfriend's ginormous pussy or whatever.
Yeah.
That he just he's only got one,
only going to Billy about the jokes.
It's just comedic gold from this guy, all the same joke over and over again. Which the character is actually Shane Black,
who is the director for
who's the director and the writer of the new Predator, The Predator. And I guess the reason he's in this movie is because they brought him in to tweak the script slightly, like make the dialogue more fluid and stuff like that.
I'll do it if I can make vagina jokes.
Yeah, so they just put him into the movie because he just wrote jokes for himself into the movie, which is why he's the first one killed.
Wait, the jokes he wrote for himself don't even fit in the movie.
Right, they don't make any sense. Why are they in there? The scenes that are filmed where he's in there making the jokes are just him and Billy. There's nobody else in the scenes at all. So I feel like he just took the camera and just like took the actor who played Billy and just filmed
costume clothing.
But
director's like, fuck yeah, we're using
Why does this dude keep shaving nothing?
Mac keeps shaving his face.
Like,
he shaves the sweat off
like
his face.
It's like plugging in your phone when it's at 100%.
But yeah, I don't know. It's a strong cast, which, I mean, I guess that's the one thing that's consistent about the Predator movies is you always have like a decent cast. Like Predator 2 is Danny Glover, and it's got Gary Busey. I think it's got the dude who plays the president in Independence Day, and then in The Predator, in Predators, you have like pretty much like an ensemble cast of like a number of like known actors. Like Danny Trejo's in there, Adrian Brody's the main guy. You've got Topher Grace in it.
I want them to abduct the Expendables.
Just have the Expendables versus Predator.
The Expendables on the Predator planet.
So Arnold's just
Let's
back.
get started. Let's just make it.
Yeah. Get Jackie Chan in this one.
Finally. Was he in one of them?
He was supposed to be in 3.
Think so.
I found the torrent of it online. I watched it. It's the only one I've watched, only to realize he got cut from it.
Lawrence Fishburne was in Predators as well.
Yeah.
Was he?
Yeah, he was the one dude who's been living on the planet for I've been living on the planet for 10 seasons. And he's got like the Predator like actual armor.
He's got a mask. He lives in...
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because he has all the traps set and shit. Because you're thinking like all these traps are like for them, like set by the Predator, but then you find out that he was actually the one.
Yeah, he's the one that set up the trap.
What a twist. We should talk about the bigger Predator theory. Or was it we were talking about the bigger Luke theory, which for those of you that don't know, this is going to be a running joke from now on, that evidently in the original Star Wars there's not only Luke, but there's a slightly bigger Luke. So there's 2 Lukes that exist in that universe.
And like they're just having tandem adventures that come to a head under a tree on Dagobah.
But so we were just joking the entire time that there's just like other theories that tie into this movie. Like I guess this all came about because there's the theory that there's 3 Predators in this movie, not just one.
Yeah.
Which if you're curious about that, look it up. We're not explaining this again. We already went through it. But also the fact that like there's weird scaling issues with the Predator. Like there's a scene where he jumps onto a tree and it looks like he's like miniature for a second, and then he gets big again. Like the CGI is just weird where it like resizes him. There's that scene too where he just gets his head blown off. Matt gets his head blown off, and then later you see his face completely fine.
Completely intact. It's just red.
There's just some red on it.
Why does Creed have eyeliner on?
Yeah, I don't to make his facial expressions more intense. Yeah, he does have eyeliner on. That's so weird.
Boxing, what are you doing?
The scene's sick because he just he gets his arm blown off, and then he grabs his
the
other
finger
gun.
is off the trigger, and it's still shooting.
It's still shooting.
Is it? I thought it was like still in. I thought it was just showing the knuckle here.
When it was landing, you see the finger separate from the gun.
Oh.
And it's shooting during then. See,
He
this
could have
part...
boxed it. He had that one hand still.
He did. Yeah, there's where the claws are visible.
I want to cut that with the epic cry from...
Best cry ever.
Best cry ever.
So I guess, during this movie, too, I read another thing. Because, the big thing is, Arnold's fucking shredded in this movie.
Why wouldn't you give your gun to your friend? Sorry, I'm going to keep talking about sequences.
But, he's not as jacked as I guess he is in other movies. This is a weaker Arnold.
This?
Yeah.
Actually, yes, this is.
It's weaker Arnold theory. But so because the movie
the reason why is because ever since he started filming, he had less time to actually be working out.
Well, right. That's
so that's why he's actually a lot smaller in this.
Another thing is the time constraints. Yeah, because of that, on the movie there was a limited time for them to film, so they would secretly go and lift weights.
They lifted the logs
when they could or whatever. And I guess there was
that scene with him lifting the car has been the most workout he's had in a while.
Yeah.
He's like, we need to take another take. we have 28 takes, 2 more.
Well, the director was saying that they needed to stay on set in case they need to do a reshoot really quick, or they need to redo the scenes.
Yeah.
But occasionally 1 or 2 of them would secretly leave and then just go lift and then come back, and I would just be they just come back, they're sweating again and just
oh, perfect! You're already in makeup.
Oh,
yeah, right.
Oh, you went to the makeup tent. All right.
Because there's
yeah.
there's a lot of this filmed in the real jungle, but then there's also a decent amount that's on sets.
Yeah, the fight is a lot of the fight scene.
A lot of the end fight scene. A lot of the first beginning scene where they're inside the little base talking about what the mission is.
Yeah.
And I guess even some of the helicopter scenes were just not stock footage, but it was filmed separately or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, solid movie. Predator is really good. I guess we can kind of talk about the connections of the other movies or leading up to the Predator. So I mean, I guess we can't really talk on Predator 2 or Predator. Yeah, well, Predator 2 we'll have to watch maybe at another point and have a dedicated conversation about it.
I don't know.
We can just watch it in our own time and talk about it in our other videos. How shit it is or whatever. But yeah, Predators, when I first saw that, I thought that was a really solid follow-up. It was...
Predators?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so too. It was
a well-shot movie. It was directed by Robert Rodriguez, who's also a good director. Yeah, the cast was really good. I liked the idea of them switching the setting. That's another movie where if you didn't watch the trailer or anything...
Yeah, you would think that...
You're just they're in the jungle,
yeah.
What's going on, and then just... That one scene where they step out and see that they're on an alien planet and there's a bunch of different
planets in the orbit.
Yeah. That was kind of a cool reveal. Plus the cast is diverse because it's a bunch of different people from different backgrounds who've been abducted by the predators.
Yeah.
They got a stereotypical badass from every part of the world.
Yeah. They still build on the lore by adding new elements. They had the super predators.
Those are actually drawing from the lore from the comics and stuff.
Yeah, right. They take in more from the comics, but they expand the movie universe.
Yeah.
They had in the Predator Hounds, which is kind of cool.
I think they're called Devil Dogs in
they?
that movie. Because in the new movie, they're Predator dogs.
Oh, are they in the new movie?
It's not the same.
But there's something it. I didn't even know that. I've been trying to avoid as much as I can from the...
I mean, there's nothing in the new movie.
I've only seen...
It's not even a movie.
I've only seen the first trailer. Any movie that comes out that I get interested in, I only watch the first trailer. That's it.
I think because of how I feel about this movie and how I feel about Predators, I might just stop watching trailers for movies.
because they give stuff away. I tried to.
Like, I might
a complete mystery.
Yeah, I might just go into the movie completely blind.
I feel like for us, we know when we're gonna go see a movie.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm already like sold on like the premise of the movie, I'm not gonna go watch the trailer. Like, I'll just go see it.
I tried to do that, but with where I work, people will just
Constantly
talk to
talk
me
about
about it.
I'm fine with having the trailer described to me,
Right.
as long as it's not like revealing any huge plot points or like actually seeing the movie
A
itself.
lot of times people are gonna miss like a decent amount of things from what they saw in the trailer
Yeah.
or from whatever they saw.
I feel like there's so many movies coming out now that like they purposely have to release trailers that are just like showing a lot, trying to get people into the movie. Like, we've got everything. We've got this, this, and this. We're like, Infinity War, do you really need to show us like a long-ass extended trailer? Like, we know what this movie is about. Yes, we're going to go see it.
That movie could have had no trailers, and it would have made its money.
Yeah. So
that's so true.
I don't know. There's a couple different ways of doing trailers, but I think, you know. Well, I'll attach the original trailer for Predator in this, and maybe even the trailer for Predators as well. But you can see like how even the trailer for that movie kind of reveals a lot.
I don't think I've ever seen the trailer for Predators.
I remember seeing it because it got me to want to go see it in the theater.
I remember one part of the trailer that doesn't even make it into the movie.
From Predators?
For Predators, yeah. Where it's big nose guy, what's his name?
Adrian Brody?
Adrian Brody is standing there, and you see the 3 dots on his forehead.
Oh, and
then he
other
gets
lasers
covered
show
in
up.
them.
Right.
Like, he's just,
Oh, you're right. I
that never
have seen
happens,
that.
yeah.
And then that's not in the movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, so there's so many of them. Oh, fuck.
So I think just to wrap it
They
up,
can't win.
you mentioned the Dutch possible cameo in Predators.
Oh, wait.
We need to know what happened to him.
It happened to Dutch after the movie, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, after Dutch got away, first thing, he got interviewed about what happened and stuff, and then he started getting sick, and he realized he had radiation poisoning from the explosion. So he avoided the explosion, but he was still in the fallout.
Yeah.
But then he's in the hospital. He eventually breaks out and just goes into the woods.
Wait, I'm sorry. You said he was in the hospital, but he breaks out of the
He breaks out of the hospital.
He's still being detained by the government because of encountering an alien.
Escape plan.
So he
3.
he breaks out of the hospital. He lives on his own. Eventually,
Is it the
his
first
brother,
one with like him?
Yeah,
With
right.
Arnold?
It's him and Stallone, and then the second one is him and
No, the second one is like Stallone and somebody else.
Batista.
Is it?
Is it Stallone and Batista, or is it Arnold and Batista?
No, Stallone and Batista.
So that he's back he's back for the third one. Then.
All right. Sorry.
And he's escaping a hospital.
So he's living in the forest on his own, kind of feeling like Rambo, and then his brother shows up for some reason, and then I think at that point another predator is like, "I want you to kill me too, fight me." And that's all I know. I just thought it was funny. He got radiation poisoning.
I just know in the comics they were gonna.
So the radiation poisoning, like,
It didn't
that's
kill
not
him.
even solved at all.
He worked out through it.
Okay.
But like, yeah, so they were possibly going to use Dutch again for another film, or they weren't sure exactly. So they were going to put him in the comics, but then they decided to make it his brother instead, who looks just like him.
No, it's Dutch in the comics, and his brother shows up.
Oh, okay. Because there's a video game that has his character's brother.
I think they make him blonde though.
Okay, yeah.
Because I don't think they had the rights to Arnold's likeness, but they could use the character.
Great.
So they just
Classic.
made blonde Dutch.
They didn't have what?
The rights to like
His
use
likeness,
his
like,
design or whatever.
In,
I don't know.
in negotiating
There's
what he
rights
did
for
this,
that?
Just do a brown-haired rip dude. I don't know why you need to have
they've,
rights for that.
Like with Marvel, part of their contract is like we can use your likeness in comic books to tie into the movie.
Uh-huh.
So that, but like some contract, like apparently his contract for Predator was like,
We can't use you.
you
in
can't
comic
use
books.
me beyond promotion for the movie,
right.
and the comics
Oh.
are no longer promotion for the movie.
Do you think Dutch is going to show up at the end of The Predator?
I know the answer to this.
Do you?
I do.
Oh, man. Well, okay, then...
By looking
Fuck.
at his facial expression, it's not.
I am trying really hard to tell you nothing by having no facial expression.
I think just... I think Adrian Brody's going to show up. I don't think they're gonna roll out an old ass Arnold. I'm not gonna look at your face. I'm just gonna hold my hand up over here.
I'm just doing crap now.
I think I don't think they're gonna roll out like an old Arnold just because he is rolled out for so many movies like Terminator. Like he just keeps coming back. I don't think they're gonna do that. Plus, it's been so long that maybe his character just died in the continuity.
No, he's alive.
Just his body just falling from the tree. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw like a big nod to one of the other movies, either as a cameo or just as like a reference.
What if the super predator in this movie is Arnold?
Is Dutch?
It is Dutch.
Or no, it's just Arnold Schwarzenegger himself. It's not his character. It's the actual like man.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's Dutch.
That'd be interesting. But yeah, no, I'm excited, thoroughly excited for The Predator now. I think it was a movie I was kind of lukewarm about at first after seeing the trailer. That's a situation where the trailer has a negative effect on me. Like I'm almost like I don't know if I want to see it now.
You just set yourself with low expectations for every single trailer.
Right.
With the first trailer for The Predator, I was like, oh, this looks like a great pile of garbage.
Yeah, I mean, I still would have seen it, but like I think now I'm legitimately gonna enjoy the movie as opposed to just possibly just making fun of the movie.
Right.
Remember when he threw a rock to distract the Predator? And the Predator
And it
locked
worked.
onto that rock and shot it?
Blasted it out of the air, man.
Jesus. So yeah, definitely go check out.
What is this targeting
if you've
mechanic?
never seen it, and I don't know why you're still watching this podcast, go watch Predator, as well as the...
God, if you haven't seen Predator, then my God, what is wrong with you?
Go watch Predators. Don't watch Predator 2? Or do? I don't know.
I don't know.
I
mean, you can still look at all the gadget stuff in AVP. Like, it's like the same shit.
Predator 2 is worth watching. It's just not as good as the first one.
Shut up, no.
watch AVP and AVPR, but all the scenes not involving the humans.
Yeah.
So just the aliens fighting the Predator, and that's pretty much it. But yeah, thanks for sticking with us, guys, for another episode of Nerds Watch. Hopefully you got something out of it, and hopefully you're stoked for the Predator.
Yeah, it comes out
Next week?
September. Next week on the 14th.
Well, next week for us.
Yeah.
When this video gets uploaded, it's probably going to come out in like 2 days, or it's already out, or something like that.
Yeah. So September 14th. That's like Friday. So that's when it's officially released out.
Right on. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys, and we'll catch you in the next one.